What if thought leaders from around the university came together to discuss state-of-the-art remedies to 21st century challenges? From the Center for Online and Continuing Education, this is Faculty Lounge Live.
Hi everyone, welcome to Faculty Lounge Live. My name is Brett Weiner. I'm a multimedia specialist here at the Center for Online and Continuing Education. And here with me is our Associate Provost and Chief Information Officer, Jason Ball. Thank you for joining us, Jason.
Thank you, Brett.
And so today we'll just be going into the state of AI at FAU, what's next, and what are some other tools?
Thank you again, Brett. So I like to think of our investments in AI in three buckets, sort of an operational or administrative bucket, a research bucket, and then an academic bucket. And so in the operational side, we're talking about things like, we've rolled out some basic chatbots. There's current applications that everybody's using already, like Zoom today, that we have the AI tools that can summarize and take transcriptions for you automatically, even convert it to different languages that you need to. And on the Workday side, invoices come in now. Used to be someone in accounts payable would have to associate that with a purchase order. Today, that's done automatically. And then for a limited number of people that have been using the Copilot for Office 365, examples of efficiencies. I know some people are using it to review contracts, for example, to find key portions of the contracts. And then, we're talking about generative AI today, but machine learning has been around for a long time. And we have, in our institutional effectiveness department, been using machine learning to do predictive reports for like student success for a long time now. On the research side, again, we've been doing a lot of machine learning and deep learning on our existing cluster. We have over 60 GPUs in our research cluster today. And then on the academic side, really, that's been our big focus. On the academic side, setting aside what our departments that have really been taking a charge and leading the charge, such as architecture, computer science, computer engineering, I'm really talking about what we're doing as central efforts. One of the big things that everybody should be familiar, I hope you're familiar by now, is the AI Playground. This is where over 60 exercises exist in Canvas where you can pull them directly into a course. But more importantly, a couple of times a month, you'll see them on the L, announcements to come over to the playground. And faculty then can come over to the playground and work with instructional designers and learn how to integrate these concepts into their coursework. Now, when we first started, we rolled out Microsoft Copilot. This is a browser-based AI tool similar to OpenAI that allows students and all staff to be able to use the basic generative tools. And then I really want to make sure that everybody should be going to that AI website for FAU, fau.edu/AI. From there, you can also find some live as well as self-paced training that we picked out. We think that is helpful. And then you'll also see events like today, this lounge session listed in our tech events portion of that site. And there's also a peer-developed series. Only the first one is posted right now, which is sort of the intro course. But a second one, which is going to be about prompting, will be coming out soon. We were actually going to release it, but we decided that faculty moved further along than the basics that came out in the course. And we're going to augment it and add a little more rigor to that course. So stand by, that'll be coming out soon. And I think, again, talking about the current state, one of the most important things we did roll out an AI policy, and that policy gets into, the safe use of AI, and it talks about, again, the academic use of AI. And to that point, we worked with the AI task force, and they did come up with 3 variations of AI usage in the classroom, and the faculty are supposed to select one of those for each course. And that is AI prohibited, meaning you shouldn't use it at all in this particular course. AI flexible, which usually means that you're going to be told if it's acceptable assignment by assignment, or encourage, which generally it's acceptable throughout the use of the course. But moving into what's coming, right now we are implementing 2 tool sets. The first is called Trust AI, and Trust AI is really aimed at the curriculum where students need to develop. In other words, call APIs in their programming courses in computer science or computer engineering. But the one that I'm really excited about right now is one from Nebula One, and we call it now OWL1, is a tool where faculty can create their own GPTs. And so, for example, they might want to create a tutor bot for chemistry, so students can go and ask questions of the bot around the curriculum if they're struggling in the course. Another one would be, for example, creating a rubric and having a student upload a paper and be graded against that rubric prior to sitting, turning the assignment in so they can sort of pre-work, pre-scoring, get an idea if they need to improve that paper. And we even have a help desk example of that too, reading the knowledge base articles and doing those sorts of things. So really excited about what's coming in that particular area. And again, on the research side, as we move into the generative AI space, we have installed and have in place the open source LLMs for generative AI like Llama. We're also in a new cluster recently purchased and being installed, doing things like digital twins. And if you're not familiar with digital twins, it's the idea of creating a virtual copy of a physical entity. So maybe it's a city, a building. A human's a bit of a stretch. I mean, they're working on that, but think about trying to emulate the entire human body. But that's the idea, is to build a digital equivalent of some physical object. And again, lots of other tools out there on the research side. And then on the operational side, really trying to look to modernize how we do all of our workflows, adding AI agents into the process. And today we do, when we integrate applications together, we are doing traditional integrations, like coding the integration between the systems. Now you just drop an agent in. And the agent's going to say, you're going to give them the keys to connect between these services, and the agent will broker the connections between those. Modern call center interfaces, where you call the call center and the agent is talking to you on the phone, and based on the conversation, it's going to start surfacing help support articles to that agent. And then again, as we mentioned, you saw it in Zoom, we've seen it in Workday, you're going to continuously see everything we buy now is going to have AI embedded into it.
That covers a lot. Can you tell us some more about the AI playground exercises, just some more detail about that, what's going on with that?
Well, I think from IT's perspective, first of all, a shout out to the COSI team and the instructional developers who spent last summer really all that time developing examples that they can pull into curriculum. And then I think from the IT perspective, our role in that was really making sure the tools were in place. We did a lot of vetting of the tools. And if you go to the AI website, you'll see that every tool is listed there and the type of data you're allowed to use with it. So it's very important, if you walk away with anything today, to make sure that you're not putting sensitive institutional data into a tool that has not been approved for that kind of use. So that site really guides you through that. Again, kudos to COSI for their work on the playground exercises.
We certainly appreciate that. We love working with you as well. Next, can you tell us some more detail about Microsoft Copilot and what that looks like? I know you mentioned a little bit, just some more detail on that for all of our guests here.
Yeah, I think the Microsoft Copilot really, again, is Microsoft equivalent of OpenAI's ChatGPT, right? And that the key here is to use your FAU credentials. You can go to the Copilot site and you use your FAU credentials. It's marked green to let you know that you're safe to use. And the key here is it's walled off. It comes back to the original statement that you don't want to put sensitive data into a tool that then gets shared into the larger language models, right? Because they learn. You put data in, they'll absorb that in and add it to the model for future use. So you want to be careful about that. So by using our licensed version of Copilot, you can feel safe about uploading data, working with imagery that might be proprietary. So again, not all university data is even safe for use of Copilot. Read the site. For example, you don't want to put health data in there. That's not an approved use of this kind of tool.
Exactly. And our next question is regarding live and self-paced training. So there's a lot of training opportunities available. Can you give us some more quick details and overview of the live sessions and self-paced options?
Yeah, the primary live session, there's two live sessions. The live session, it's sort of intro as well, and then there's a introduction to prompting. That just gets people started. Now, if you're already out there using ChatGPT and others, and you've kind of moved into advanced prompting techniques, these are not the courses for you. There are the self-paced ones, and I will pause there and also redirect to, we also have a LinkedIn Learning subscription as an institution, and there are a ton of great courses on LinkedIn Learning on prompting for those of you who really want to get ahead on the prompting, because you can really be impressive with prompts today. Like I said, you can put entire rubrics into these prompts, and it can grade a paper based on the criteria you give it.
That's very helpful. Next, we have a peer developed series. We're on module 205. I know you mentioned this a little bit earlier, just again, more detail for those in the audience. The Peer Develop series is a great initiative. What can faculty expect from Module 2, and how does it fit into the overall series?
Yeah, and so again, the first one, hopefully most of you have seen this by now, but that kind of gives you the intro background. What's nice in the series is that they get students input, they get other faculty input into these courses. In the second one, again, it'll start out by giving sort of intro, the basics of prompting, and our goal with the revised version coming soon will to get to a little more advanced concepts like if I want to build a rubric, how would I go about doing that?
I know we also mentioned more about AI policy. It's sort of in the intro there. Mm-hmm. Can you just give us some more detail about the AI policy and the syllabi language and what that sort of looks like for those in the audience?
Yeah, I mean, again, the policy is very much, it goes into the acceptable use of AI on campus. I'll drive it back to I'll just kind of reinforce what I've been saying, which is making sure the tool you're using are approved for the use of the data that you're using. So again, you don't want to put HIPAA data into the Copilot. Even though most things are okay for Copilot, you don't want to use the HIPAA data into that. Now, if you have the Microsoft Copilot for Office 365, you have even more leeway into what you can do with that tool. And again, that's limited to about 100 people on campus today, but it gives you more capability.
Excellent. And that covers all my questions. So what's happening in the future? What's the future going to look like?
Well, if you're paying attention to what's going on in AI today, you'll hear it's agentic AI, right? And so if you think about, it's really the idea that these tools are going to be able to work autonomously. So you're going to give a task, and I think you've probably seen the commercial for Salesforce, where the actor is sitting at a restaurant and he gets splashed by cars because he didn't have the AI make his dinner reservation for him. Because had the AI agent made the dinner reservation, they would have known the weather was going to be bad and outside would have been an idea. At least that's what's implied by the commercial, right? And so think about that. These agents are going to be trusted for very specific purposes to perform actions without human intervention, right? So simple things like, you see it today with OpenAI's operator. It does do that, does like reservations for dinner and travel and those sorts of things. So really these agentic systems are going to take over. But I also like to say it's going to be agents of agents. So imagine one of my visions for the university is that our students will get an assistant. And that assistant will call agents. And there might be an advisor agent. There might be a scheduling agent. There might be an event agent for like scheduling, getting tickets for games or whatever it might be. It's sort of the agents of agents, if you will. And that's kind of where the world's going. But along with all that, that it opens up lots of concerns, right? Where does the human in the middle to quality check that? Imagine if you had an advisor agent that provided wrong recommendation on a class. And then a student takes a class they don't need, and now they don't graduate in time, and worse, pay for a course they didn't need. Think about it from cybersecurity. These tools are going to be, they're not always used for good, they're used for bad. So where's that going to go? It's also interesting that these things are growing in such power and speed and the consumption of resources. We're even seeing, I think you've seen all the major 3 tech firms are building their own little nuclear power plants to try to even power these things. Think about video games. That's another cool concept. So today, when you play these video games, they have sort of predicted paths that you're going down, right? To win the game or whatever, get to the next level. But think about when AI is going to adapt and build the game, on the fly. And then the next kind of step in all this is reasoning, right? That the AI agent isn't. AI today, the generative AI is really based on statistical predictions of what it should tell you next. And right now, instead, it's going to go back and be able to go backwards and forwards and reason based on what it's learned to actually provide you answers. So some pretty neat stuff happening here. So again, for us, I think on the positive sides, I think we're going to see some really cool innovations in terms of student experience and even employee experience. Could be doing HR actions or whatever it might be. I think the negative side on the institutional piece is people have been worried about assessments today, right? we're really getting to the point where bots can go take exams, bots can go do things. And how are we going to prevent that? How are we going to ensure the integrity of assessments in this new world?
Jason, thanks for sharing all that valuable information. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I think when I reflect on it, I was working with our instructional technologies team, and we were talking about that particular series, and there was a general discomfort. And I think the message for everybody is change is going to happen constantly, and we have to adapt, right? And so we're going to be uncomfortable all the time, is what I said. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I think that's kind of the state. It's an exciting time. At the same time, everybody needs to be taking some time out, regardless of whether it's an IT professional or whether it's faculty, to develop and upskill themselves, because it is going to be constantly changing.
Exactly. I do see we have a question here, so we'll be able to join the conversation. Ask your question.
Yes, good afternoon, Jason and Brett. Thank you for this conversation. So we have Dr. Abigail Perkins. She's asking, how can an instructor get started building GPT for a course with OWL 1?
Thank you, Dr. Perkins. So right now it is just in the pilot program, but our goal is to roll it out broader once we get to summer. So right now, each college, again, has a person that has agreed to participate in the proof of concept. And after this spring term, our goal is to roll this out at scale to any faculty that wish to. And at that point, we'll have a ticket system up in place to make the request. It will not be a complete self-service. You will have to make a request because we have to deploy the resources. Because it depends. For example, if it's for a particular class and we're going to restrict it to a class, or if it's going to be something broader. So there's a series of parameters we in IT have to address as we set up each of these.
Excellent. That actually covers our Lee Lounge Live today. So thank you again, Jason, for being here. And thank you to those in the audience for joining us. And we'll see you next time.